Okay guys, so let's continue. We left off on that last move at the double unders position, and I just wanted to take a moment or two to talk more about that position and the importance of it and the dominance of it. So I believe that double unders, if I could choose any control from the butterfly guard, that would be the position that I would go to. The reason why is because I'm very deep on my partner's body, okay? And once that control settles, it's very hard for my partner to regain the position, the positional advantage on me that I want. So what I mean by that is this. Let's first have a discussion of that range one more time. So this should make sense. If I'm on my partner's wrists, it's pretty difficult to lift him, right? If I'm on my partner's elbows over here, yeah, I can definitely lift him. It's pretty good. But if I'm underneath my partner's armpits on the underhooks over here, now I have the most leverage in my hook lift or sweep, whatever you guys want to, elevation, right? And the reason for that is, remember that concept again, the relationship of my hip to his hip. The deeper I get my hips, the easier it's going to be to elevate him. So obviously the hand's the furthest range. So if I'm controlling his wrist over here, or something like this, it's a little hard to start to elevate my partner, even with like two wrists. Can I do it? Maybe, but look, I really got to give a strong pull. Two elbows over here, yeah, this is a solid control, right? Or on his elbows over here, that's solid. But this, look how close my hips can get to my partner. There's nothing impeding me from getting deep on my partner. So that's number one, why it's so dominant, is because my hook lift, my ability to elevate becomes way easier because I control my partner's weight and hip over my hip. Number two, why it's such a dominant position is because I have every setup at my disposal on my terms. So what I mean by that is, we're going to look at a bunch of other attacks from the butterfly guard over here, but when I have the double underhooks position, there's not too much my partner can do, and I can really read the situation from here. So if I feel my partner's weight going more towards one side, then this is the side I'm going to choose to pummel in and go to. If I feel him going more towards the other side, or maybe he even tries to pummel his arm in on me over here, I can just start to go towards that way, right? And this is very good for beginners. Sometimes when we look to engage from a range like this and we start to go towards the sweep, or even from this range, it's hard to feel where your partner's weight is distributed. But when you engage like this, almost always your partner's going to have one side or the other hip that he favors. And almost always your partner knows that he's in a bad position and he's going to look to clear out of that position. So if there's ever a situation where my partner starts to make the frame to clear out of the position, let's make the frame on this side this time. Yes, exactly. He's going to want to block my head and then eventually pummel me in over here. Well, now I know exactly what he's doing. Let's go. Exactly. And I'm going to be able to start to keep his arm pinned and trapped inside and go right towards that sweep. So it's a lot easier of a read, okay? Also, when I have the double unders, another reason why I like it so much is I can kind of, if I need to take a second, I can take a second. So, Kyle, try to pass my guard. Yeah, he can. I don't know any pass the guy can do without a control of an underhook over here, right? There's really nothing going on over here. And from here, you guys are going to see I'm going to be able to start to go to different controls and different attacks from the position. We only spoke about butterfly sweep, so that's why I'm keeping it in that context. But it's such a dominant position, okay? So if I could choose one control, it would be that. The problem is, though, if against a game opponent, he knows that, right? So it's not going to be so easy to just, go ahead and just like always get this control, right? Oftentimes, I'm going to be having to force my partner to post off of initial sweep maybe, and then go to the control, right? So like we did before, my partner started to win the position on me, I elevated, his hand posted, great, gave me an opportunity to pummel the position, okay? You know, maybe I want one underhook over here, I feel like the hips are a little off, I just give a little shake towards that way, okay, now that his hands are on the mat, I can pummel the position. So, this is such a good control to go to if you feel like your partner's hips aren't available to elevate, because once you get there, they're for sure going to be there to elevate, right? And let's look at just one more setup or idea, right? We looked at this idea of clearing the position and my partner posts on my shoulder over here, right? Yeah, exactly. To clear the hands control that I have of him, that's going to give me the opportunity to turn in and drive. Sometimes though I'm met with a guy with strong hips, okay, no problem, at least I'm going to pull him to the double unders position, right? Other times I'm getting a control my partner's like insisting to like yank this hand up, like that's going to be the idea and the timing to like go in. So the idea is like I always like climb myself up the ladder. Maybe my partner's pushing me over here and I control his elbows. He doesn't like this control, so how's he going to clear? Let's see, clear the elbow control. Exactly, he's going to pop his elbows up. So these are things and timings to look for in that double underhook position. The reason why it's so dominant and why I like it so much. Okay guys, so let's go back to that double unders position, all right? And like I said, we're gonna look at a lot of different controls and setups and attacks that we can do from there, other than, you know, the basic hook sweep, but there's a position that's specific to there that involves like taking my partner down from that control, and it's such a good position that we gotta go over it. So let's take a look. So I won the double underhook on my partner over here, and my partner's gonna have the reaction now to kind of like, he knows that he's in trouble over here. So he knows his hip over my hip is not a good idea. So it's very common that my partner has the reaction to almost like walk back on his knees a little bit, exactly, to try to sag. This weight is gonna help him, right? And I just need to either feel that weight and get ready to come up the same way we did on the double to go with it, or I'm going to go into a hook lift first and then get ready to come up right out of the hook lift. So what I mean by that is, as I'm here in this situation, if I feel my partner walk back, I'm just going to give one more effort to scoot forward, go to this hook lift, and as I hook lift, this is going to be a very important concept that we need to keep in mind for a lot of moves after this, is I'm going to throw my partner's weight away from me. You see how I completely I kind of exaggerate the movement there, but I completely extended my partner back. When I extend my partner back for this move, that gives me the opportunity and the space to build my base underneath my partner. So as I lift over here and I extend my partner back, that's going to give me the opportunity to tuck one leg and come up in the position. So let's just rotate that now. When I come up in the position over here, we have a couple options, and it depends on my partner's reaction. If I feel like my partner's posture is kind of weak over here, like he's got a little bit of a weak base or weak spine, I'm going to crunch his chest or his head over his hip. So I just make sure my grip slides down to his lower back. I crunch him this way. Just be careful of your knees here. Okay, I'm going to run and fold him down with the body left position. So that one again, the whole way through. So I'm here, I'm going to elevate, I throw my partner back, tuck one leg, exactly, and I'm just going to crunch him down towards the mat. That would be the first option, okay? The second option, and again, the option that a more game opponent is going to look to do, is he's not going to let you get that crunch, get his spine that out of alignment, right? So when I'm here, I start to lift to the position, I throw my partner away, exactly. Do you see how he's kind of creating an angle on me over here? And his spine stays aligned? That's what a good opponent's going to do, okay? And when I'm here, my idea is going to be this. I keep my clinch position and my knee and my hips come into him, Okay, so what's very important, I see a lot of guys doing this, especially if the guy puts like a whizzer in or something like that, they try to go around. And there's like a whole series and stuff from here that you guys can work, but guys, I think this is a way more effective option. That when I'm here and I feel this, my knee goes into my partner. I keep a good clinch on his body over here. And now since my hips entered to his hips, all I'm gonna look to do is pull him across my body. And I'm gonna end getting the throw. What's important here, I don't wanna keep this hip up off the mat, so I'm gonna sag my left hip, just so in case the guy gets the momentum to try to bridge me over. This hip is gonna keep me sagged and on the proper side of him, right? So one more time. So I already arrived at the double underhook position, okay? I'm gonna start to lift, throw my partner away, adjust. Look, I already get my knees up into the position. Kyle can tell you right now, doesn't feel good when my hips are distributed like this into his hips, right? So now from here, all I'm gonna look to do is just pull across. Might seem like there's a post, but almost similar to the short hook sweep, I'm not planting him to his shoulder. I'm planting him to his hip. So when I pull across, you guys can see I bring the hip right there to the ground. Kyle, let's do one more. This time I want you to, let's do the other side. I want you to stand up out of the position, okay? So after I lift, there is a possibility that when I lift, my partner is gonna start to stand in the position. But it's the same idea. If I had the position where his spine was out of alignment, same thing, I'm gonna crunch him down. If his hips are back, my hip goes into his hip. My hip goes into his hip, I pull his hip across my body, and I'm gonna ride right there. The only other option that sometimes happens, so stand up, is when I get this position, sometimes when I pull across, my partner puts his both hands to the mat from the standing position. So here, exactly. And that's gonna give me the opportunity to start to go towards his back. Guys, this move is a very, very effective throw, very, very effective move. I remember doing this in the finals of one of my matches for an Abu Dhabi trial. So it's a super strong position, and it works very well once you get there and you insert your knee on the guy's hips, right? So let's just do one more time from the standing. So I had double underhooks, lift the position, I throw him away, same thing. I build my base. Look, I'm already coming up into him. I'm gonna turn my partner towards the mat, sag my left hip. That's gonna give me the throw. Let's do one last one. This time post the hands. I'm gonna enter in the position. I start to lift, scoop him away. I build my base up, enter my knee. As I go to throw, exactly, my partner floats his hands. Step inside, drive off that posted foot, and I'm gonna get the back. All right, guys, so let's go back, because we actually didn't finish, to the defensive reactions that my opponent can have when I'm going to elevate him with the hooks or go for the hook sweep. We did when he posts the leg, right? We did when he kind of tries to block me with the hips and either go into the sweep or go into the unders. And the last thing that he can do is post that arm, right? And that's going to happen a lot. Like I said, no gi, it's slippery. It's hard to always keep that arm control. And sometimes too, my partner is just going to have like a very game base. But we have to understand that whenever my partner has a good base, like he has kind of like a wide base over here, anytime I start to like lift him, he posts that arm or something like that, or maybe I'm starting to lift him here, he posts the arm, yeah, exactly. Whenever that happens, even though he's harder to sweep, he's probably easier to submit. And why does that make sense? Because when my partner is very closed off and tight like this, he's not really concerned about his post, right? So that's going to give me an easier opportunity to go towards sweeps. as I start to attack more sweeps, or maybe it's just his tendency to have a better base by posting this and that, that's going to give me the opportunity to start to attack the submission. Why? Whenever my partner is posting a lot, posting his arms, he's dividing his limbs away from his body. Okay? And guys, this like DVD is not going to be on X-Guard or leg locks or anything like that, but the same goes for if he like posts his leg, right? So if I start to lift over here and he is like just has this leg posted, right, I'm always going to be able to start attacking him here on the leg lock game, right? So the idea, or the X-Guard or something like X-Guard game, so the idea is, you know, if he's posting, chances are he's dividing his limbs away from his body, which is great for me. Like the idea of like divide and conquer is something that we want to like keep in mind. I divide his limb, I take his limb away from his body. Just think about a basic armbar, and then I'm gonna keep it for the submission, right? So the same idea goes when my partner's making a base, okay? And the best illustration that I think we have of that relationship between the sweep and the submission when my partner defends is the inverted armbar, okay? So let's just take a setup like this. So let's imagine we both have collar elbow over here. And I'm gonna either go towards the sweep and react, or I'm gonna know that my partner is gonna post. So there's this idea of either I go for the initial sweep, he posts, and then I make a reaction, or I'm like, I feel where his hand is, I feel the exposure, I'm gonna force him to post where I want him to post, exactly. And now I'm going to start to go to the position. So either way, whether you're working off of a reaction, action-reaction, or whether you're working off of a setup, the principle stays the same. He's blocking the sweep or he's exposing his arm, we're going to take the arm. So let's look how we're going to do that for the inverted armbar. Guys, the easiest way to actually learn this one sometimes is when the hand's like not on the mat, the hand's not exposed. You can even just do it with your partner, even just on the knees over here. And it's called the inverted armbar because a traditional armbar is done what? His thumb needs to face the ceiling, right? You lift the hips, pull the wrist down, and you're going to get the armbar. The inverted armbar is done opposite in the sense that his elbow and his thumb, so his elbow is facing towards the ceiling this time, the back of it, and his thumb's facing down. Okay? So getting his arm to that position, I need to do it in an effective way. And guys, I see a lot of people, sometimes they try to like go there and give the guy like a rug burn or something. You don't want to use your hands over there, okay? Instead, what I want to do is this flat part of my wrist is going to come right against his elbow. And my elbow tucks to my ribs. So almost like a waiter over here, like holding a plate or something like that. And from here, what's going to allow me to rotate his elbow towards the ceiling, okay, is this motion of me kind of like arm wrestling, as well as rotating my torso and keeping my ear to my shoulder, almost like I'm on the telephone over here. So between that motion, you guys can see I'm really gonna be able to take a good control of my partner's arm positioning. And what's actually leading that motion is this shoulder here. If I control the two joints on the outside of the joint I'm attacking, there's a good chance I'm gonna have to finish. So my head's taking care of the wrist, and this rotation over here is taking care of the shoulder, so his posture comes down. So as I rotate, that's what's going to control the shoulder, putting a lot of torque and rotation there. We're going to talk more about this shoulder in a second, but keep that in mind. So let's go back now to that idea. Okay. And guys, we can do this from a bunch of different setups. So you guys saw I can get his hand to post from the collar elbow. I can get his hands to post from putting both elbows under his elbows. I can get his hands to post from our favorite position, double unders, right? So there's a bunch of different setups, but let's go over the finish, okay? So when I'm here, I'm gonna control my partner. I'm gonna force him to post relatively close to my shoulder over here. So as I start to give a little bit of a hook lift and a pull over here, that's gonna force the post. Now from here, that wrist is going to find that position that we just spoke about. Okay? And in the light of the idea of dividing his limb from his body, I also, as I rotate towards this position to collect his arm, I also with my legs want to kick him away. So this way his arm gets further extended from his body. Okay. When I kick him away, I want to give the intention to sit up in the position, and I'm going to connect my hands. Guys, there's a lot of different ways people connect their hands in this position. You can go palm to palm. One of my favorites is to go to the rear naked choke grip and grab my elbow. But the idea is I just need to create a leverage to put pressure on his elbow. So for today, I'm going to lift. I'm going to go to that rotation that we just went over as I kick him away and sit up. You guys can see I found my wrist rotating through there. Just rotate a little bit. So my wrist rotates through there all the way to that rear naked choke grip. From here, I'm going to keep a hollowed stomach here. Okay? I'm going to put a lot of weight on top of his arm, dropping my whole upper body, my head, my chest, my shoulders, all down on top of his arm until I'm going to be able to get the tap right there. Okay, so one more time. My partner's going to be here. Maybe he was pushing me or something. I'm going to control his elbows. Hard to get underneath, so I'm going to force a post just by scooping myself, almost disappearing underneath him. Boom, there goes his hands. My wrist already went right to that spot. I'm going to kick him away with 2 hooks and sit up. I rotate to the position. My elbow comes to the top of his elbow with the rear naked choke grip. I'm going to cross my arms, hollow my body here. I don't want to push the arm into myself. Stay on the phone and drop all my weight on top of the arm. Okay? So one more time, I'm going to be here. And that's going to give me the finish right there. Okay guys, so there's a whole series that I can work off of this inverted armbar. And it's based again off my partner's reaction. He does one thing, I do another, and I'm ready for each of those reactions, right? So the most common one that my partner can do over here is when I start to go towards the inverted armbar position, as I begin to lift and I try to sit up, I start to feel some resistance. So instead of my partner to be so easy to push away with my hooks, and instead of my partner to be so easy to allow me to sit up in the position, a lot of times his base I'm going to feel more stable. So it's going to be a little harder to sit up. So when this happens, instead to sit up into him, I still need to accomplish the same goal of getting that hollow space so I can finish the position. Because there's no way I'm going to finish the position sideways over here. Like I can't do this armbar sideways. Why? Number one, I don't have enough leverage to break the arm. I don't have enough weight to put on top of him. And number two, I don't have the proper angle. So that's what we're going to change. If I can't get height, I'm going to get angle. So when I'm here and my partner's here, as I start to sit up into my opponent, I notice some resistance. So instead to continue trying to sit up, I'm still going to keep the intention to sit up. Okay, very important. I don't lose that intention. But instead to sit up, my both feet are going to go to the ground. I'm going to hip escape. When I hip escape over here, this is going to give me that space that I needed. But if you notice, I didn't stay flat and hip escape. I got on my side, and my intention is still there to sit up. The reason why I like to show my students the sitting up one first is because learning to sit up and rotate is probably one of the most important parts of this move, even during this hip escape variation. Okay, so we still need to keep that intention, even though the angle of the movement's changing. The finishing power itself doesn't. So when I'm here, I feel my partner's base. I'm going to go to the same idea. I can't kick him away and sit up, so instead my both feet come to the ground and I work the hip escape. Once I work the hip escape over here, my leg, sometimes if I'm long enough, I can just put my shoulder right there on top of his shoulder, keeping him pinned. And we have the same idea to finish. I'm going to drive my elbow down. Maybe let's do a different angle here. That's better. So I'm going to drive my elbow down into his elbow, keep a good sit up over here and put a lot of weight towards his head as I move my hips back into the position. So I need to be right on top of his elbow right there to get the tap. So let's do it from this angle. So I'm here, I'm gonna get my partner close. I bring my hips out because I felt the resistance. So I'm I still go to kick him away, but this time I notice he doesn't float away, so I move my hips out. From here, my knee can go on top of his shoulder. Guys, it's also acceptable to put the leg on top. This is gonna be fine, and we're gonna see why in another move, but my knee is what's reinforcing his shoulder, and then same thing, I'm gonna be able to finish the position. Okay, so last time quick. Then I'm gonna get the tap right there. Okay guys, so we're looking now at this inverted armbar series, and we went over the initial attack of sitting up and finishing, and we also went over if I can't sit up into the position, I'm gonna change the angle using the hip escape and going to the finish there. There's a couple more moves in the series that I really like to follow up with depending on my partner's reaction. So we were talking about this shoulder over here on the inverted armbar. So when I attack my partner's inverted armbar, you guys can see his shoulder needs to rotate there. And sometimes with an opponent who feels that shoulder rotation, they're going to have the reaction to go with the move as opposed to try to go against it. We're going to look at what happens if my partner tries to go against it, but they're going to have the reaction to go with the move to defend. So what do I mean by that? As I start to come towards this position, maybe I got my partner's ribs, I push my partner down, I go to the attack, my partner's going to go to the forward roll. Right, exactly. So you guys can see that's how he's going to escape the position, is by kind of sacrificing the top position, okay? And that's probably the one time in jiu-jitsu that it's acceptable to give up the top position, is if you're escaping a submission. But if we have an answer to it, if we're able to follow it up, then we're still going to be able to chase the submission rather than just end up with the sweep. So let's take a look, okay? So I'm going to be here, I scoop forward, I start to go towards the position, my partner rolls. As he rolls, my one leg is going to come over the top of his leg over there. Over the top of his head over there. Okay, once I come over the top of his head, I'm going to belly down over here towards the position. And just to exaggerate a little bit, I'm going to post my head on the mat and leave this space. Now with this space over here, my other leg, my knee, is going to shoot underneath the position to the traditional armbar. You guys can see I went staggered. If you guys find the timing to throw the leg over after, that would be great too. And then, just like we know, I keep my heels curled, knees pinched, pull the arm towards the leg so he doesn't escape. And I'm going to bring my head back so I can arch my hips high. And I'm going to get the tap on the traditional arm, right? So it's a really quick move, and it's a great way to follow the position, right? So let's look at it one more time, okay? So I'm going to be here. I scoop my partner forward. I start to go to the attack. My partner rolls. My leg is already coming over. I bring my head to the ground, and I rotate underneath. What's an important detail, guys? Let's just rotate the other way. Please move for a second, Tyler. When I'm here in this position, okay, you guys see my knee over here, okay? So when I'm here with my head on the ground, maybe I put my elbow on the ground too, my knee, I don't want to scoop my knee far away from my partner. He's going to pull his elbow to the mat. So when I'm here in this position, okay, maybe my head and my elbows on the ground, my knee scoops really close. So my foot almost finds its home tight to his ribs, tight to his armpit over there. From here, now I can start to go to the position and continue with the regular armbar, continue with the attack, right? So let's look one more time quick. Boom. And I'm going to arrive with the tap. Very important I keep a good control, the same alignment on the control until I swing my hips through on the armbar. I don't want him to free that arm or bend that arm back. Alright guys, so we're looking at that inverted armbar series, and we're looking at the reactions that my partner can give me when I go for that initial attack, okay? So sometimes when I start to go for this attack, my opponent has the idea to keep his posture up. But how is he going to keep his posture up, okay? Chances are he's not going to be able to post his leg if I do the attack quickly enough and the timing's right. But this arm over here actually creates a problem for the shoulder that I want to attack. So what I mean by that is this. So as you guys can see, as I attack the shoulder over here, what happens? It goes down. But if Kyle does a push-up with his other arm over there, yep, you guys can see, I just pushed on that here. So all the way up, push, that's it. You guys can see I start to lose the posture and the control of this shoulder. What we needed to keep control of this joint, and like we said, we already had this joint, but we need to control both joints to finish the attack, right? So if my partner does a good job to keep this post up, it becomes a problem for me. You know, against a guy who's not that tough, sometimes you're going to get the tap, or it's going to be like a little bit of a scare tap. But imagine a guy who's bigger than you, he's got gigantic arms or something like that. Like you're not going to be able to finish him there if he's tough enough, okay? So why? You don't have your weight coming down behind the position like we spoke about, okay? So even though the arm's extended, the threat's not there because I don't have to control the shoulder and the posture. So let's look at the next step. So when I'm here, okay, I go towards the position, I start to bring my hips out, exactly my partner posts. And as he posts up, let's go, Kyle. Yes, he's starting to rotate that elbow. But when he posts, he gives me an opportunity over here to escape my foot and go to the next position. So whenever my partner's hand is occupied towards the mat, it's not really doing much in terms of bothering me or posting me. So that's going to give me the opportunity to take my foot out and go towards the triangle over here. Once I start to go towards the triangle, my preference is to lock the figure four as quick as I can. If you guys want to transfer the arm first and reach your shin and adjust the hip, that's a good option too. But my idea is to just lock the figure four as fast as I can. I'm going to close the figure four from all three angles. I'm going to pinch the knees, pull the head down, and lift the hips, right? So it's a triangle. So these are the two sides. This is the top base pulling down, and my hips coming up is the bottom, and that's what's gonna, give me the tap there, the closing of all three of those directions right forward. So the idea is my partner's using this hand over here to reclaim the postural advantage that he had, right? So I'm here, move, I go to the position, he posts the push up, my foot comes out. And my preference is to lock right away to the figure four. From here I can switch to his head and start to finish. Cross his arm, adjust the position a little better, and apply the triangle choke. Alright guys, so one last move on this inverted armbar series, okay? So we spoke about my partner not letting me sit up. We go to the hip escape. My partner posting the arm. We go to the triangle. My partner rolling. We go to the traditional armbar. There's one other way that my partner can defend the position, and usually it comes from me not getting a good initial bite on the arm. In truth, if I get that initial hit on the arm, that's my idea. If we can go from this angle, maybe you can see that initial hit. So if I get that initial hit on the arm over there, that's really going to be difficult for my partner to deal with. But sometimes I go there and my partner's arm isn't where I thought it was going to be, or maybe he has long arms, or maybe he's able to be a little tough and then recover the position. But how is he going to recover the position? He's going to choose to hug my head over here. So maybe let's do the same again. So when I start to lift over here, as I go to the position, instead for him to back up, he's actually going to come forward. Exactly. So what he's doing there is he's hiding his elbow by bringing his shoulder in closer. Okay. And when this happens over here, he hides his elbow by bringing his shoulder in closer. I want to make a gable grip on his shoulder, kind of lock it down. Okay. So the idea is I need to continue my attack, but not going to have the submission of the elbow anymore, but I am going to have a good sweep attempt. So with this control, my hands locked in the gable grip palm to palm, I'm still gonna keep my head attached to his arm over here, so his arm can't escape as I go towards the sweep. If I leave my head up, if I start to sweep over here, he's just gonna exactly, and maybe I can go back, but being honest guys, he's gonna expect it, because you already did the attack once. So as I'm here in the sequence, I just wanna commit to this move, so my head stays tight there. Okay, now on the other side, my elbow finds his chin, okay? And we're gonna go back again to that principle of the head leading the direction like we did in the collar elbow sweep, right? So if I can get his head to start going that way, his body's gonna follow, right? So once I get here towards this position, I always prefer, guys, instead to just sweep off my back over here, especially against a heavy opponent, it's gonna be difficult just to go straight to a hook lift. It's possible, but I always prefer to get like a little sit up to get a little bit of momentum. And then when I come back, with the momentum of throwing my back to the ground, that's gonna give me more drive and more energy towards the direction that when I go to the sweep. Okay, it's not gonna be as much as like when I was completely seated, but it's gonna help in the long run. So when I'm here and I start to go towards this position, exactly, I lock my partner's shoulder, glue my elbow to my ribs, and I elevate the other elbow over here. I give a little baby sit up, and then I'm gonna go to the hook sweep. Keep lifting and driving, almost like this is a frame against your partner's neck over there, to the top position. And it's the same way as we do the other hook sweeps. Get my hips as deep as possible, and elevate with the ball of my foot over there, right? So one more time, we can do this angle this time. So I go to the position, I start to attack my partner, hugs. I already go to the palm to palm, I change. You guys see how my elbow drops to my ribs, my other elbow comes up. I give a baby sit up, and then I'm gonna commit and carry him over right there to the top position. All right guys, so a similar control that we have to that last control is, that I really like to take from the butterfly guard a lot, is it's called like a reverse headlock. The position looks like this. So if my partner's standing like this, the position's gonna look like this. So you think about it, like a traditional headlock is something like this, right? So the reverse is gonna be like this. And it's not the same. It's not like a newbie move or whatever. It's actually a really fundamentally sound position. And one of my favorite ways to get to the position is actually from a close guard. Again, like we can take it from like our favorite position, like the double unders. I just bring my hand up and I go to the position. But a good way to set up is from the close guard. But before I get there, let's look a little bit closer at this position itself. So the best way to maybe show it is flat on my back over here, okay? So this is gonna be the reverse headlock position here. So you guys can see this arm is kinda pinned against the top of my head over here. My other arm is palm facing me with my elbow tucked against and my wrist against his collarbone, and my other hand makes a gable grip. It's also acceptable to do maybe an S grip if the guy's a little bigger, but it makes a grip right here against the side of his neck. And I'm looking to make a right angle over here, okay? What's important, when I'm here, I keep his arm collected, so if Kyle's arm is dropping a little bit down, like, no, not this way, this way. So show that again. Yeah, if it's dropping a little bit down, that's gonna be no good. So I wanna pump his arm on top of my shoulder over there. This is gonna be more secure. On the other side, this arm is in front of the collarbone. Why? So he doesn't advance position on me, okay? So if my arm is up over here, then he's gonna get the underhook on me over here and start to drive towards this way, and things are gonna start to get a little tough for me, right? So when I'm here, this in front of his collarbone, my post in front of his collarbone is really stopping his forward progress, and I'm hiding my underhook by tucking my elbow inside. So this is the reverse headlock position. And like the same way how like a collar tie would stop him from getting that position. So if that's one thing that helps you guys keep that in mind, that's great, okay? But like I said, one of my favorite ways to get to this position is from close guard. And if you guys do a lot of close guard, it's really common to clinch with your partner, try to break your partner's posture down. The only problem is like, no gi. We don't have a lot of like collars to keep my partner's posture down. So how am I gonna look to control his head, right? So when I'm here in the closed guard, we're just gonna work a traditional break. I'm gonna knock his hands off the position, pull my knees towards my chest, and I'm gonna sit up and go to the position. So you guys can see right initially, I just took like pretty much the regular headlock, the one that we spoke about that probably isn't that fundamentally sound. But it's going to be very easy for me to switch to the other headlock over here. So all I'm going to look to do in this position is start to pedal my legs and shift my hips. And then once I shift my hips, I arrive in the position. So now from here, I need to start to work to get my butterfly hooks inside. So one of the ways that I like to do that is fish my legs behind. When I fish my legs behind, you guys can see I'm finding hooks this time on the other side of his legs. And I'm going to look to stretch the hook out and then swing my foot inside. And let's do the same on the other side. So I stretch the hook out and I swing my foot inside. What's important, when you guys swing your foot inside, let's come. You guys want to use some momentum over here, especially if you might not be as flexible in the position. You don't just want to kind of inch your foot back. Number one, he's going to put the position back. Number two, your leg's not going to reach as easily. So when you throw your foot, it finds the position a lot quicker than if you try to do the position slow. And then on the other side, I'm going to stretch and I'm going to get my foot inside. Now, from this situation here, guys, I'm going to one more time look to sit up. And when I sit up in the position, I'm going to have a lot better opportunity to start to sweep my partner. Okay? One of the sweeps that I like to go to right away off of this control is the short hook sweep, actually. So instead of going to that traditional hook sweep where I'm either crossing my foot underneath or I'm pulling my partner on top of me, I prefer to go straight to the short hook sweep, anticipating the guy's post. So what I'm going to look to do is this foot over here is going to look to come out and find right on his knee over here. Now, if I just went to kick over here, if I had a powerful enough kick, maybe I'm going to get my partner's base to buckle. Okay? But you guys can see Kyle's a pretty game opponent over here. His hips are over his heels. Whenever that happens, that makes this leg very heavy. So if I was trying to kick that out, it's going to be very difficult. So what I actually need to do first is instead of throw my shoulder to the mat first, like a traditional butterfly sweep, what I'm going to look to do is I'm going to look to pull him to get his hips off his heels. Once his hip comes off his heels, this leg comes light. Now I give a kick, and his base goes out. Give a carry over as I twist the headlock position. And I'm going to arrive there in the top position with the headlock control, okay? So let's go to the close actually. So I'm here, boom, break his posture. I'm going to sit up, pull him towards me. Okay, now from this situation, I can start to look to adjust my hips and adjust the angle by pedaling. So kind of my feet are going to pedal on the bike as I adjust my hips. Get that reverse headlock position that we spoke about. If I need to reclose here for a second, that's fine. But if I'm ready to go, I'm going to find my hooks behind the position, look to stretch his hooks out, and swing my hook inside. Now from here, I'm going to sit up and go to the headlock position. Once I have the headlock position over here, I'm going to pull his hips off his heels, go to that stomp right over there, kick his base, and continue to carry him over there. Let's come back to the initial butterfly guard. Guys, I can definitely, start the position from here. Imagine I couldn't sit up, whatever the guy was heavier. I can start a hook lift here, and my partner's gonna post with his legs right there, and then find my foot and continue to carry the movement. This would be another acceptable way to complete the sweep. So if I can't sit up, I'm going to just elevate with the two hooks, and then my foot's going to find its home. So last time, we'll start there. So from here, I tried to sit up, wasn't working. Okay, I'm going to elevate, foot finds its home, and I'm going to arrive there on the top using the reverse headlock position. Okay guys, so we're looking at that reverse headlock. Let's do one more move in this position. um, that I really like to take advantage of, okay? And if you guys notice, a lot of butterfly guard is kind of also like wrestling up from the position. You guys saw we shot a double, we did a body lock takedown, and we're gonna work a similar idea here with this next technique, that similar concept, the idea of like wrestling up, okay? So a lot of times I'm gonna get the reverse headlock position, and again, it can come from our favorite position. Maybe I get my partner to post, I get the double underhooks position, and I'm gonna arrive and switch for the reverse headlock. Whether I sit up or not doesn't really matter, okay? But the idea is I'm getting there, and now in this situation, I'm gonna feel my partner's weight opposite of the way that I'd wish. Okay, so let's just rotate, maybe this angle, let's do this. So when I'm here, I can feel my partner's weight going towards this way, which is the opposite of the way I want to take him, right? Why? I want to take him this way where I have the control of his arm, he can't make a post, but this way, he knows and he feels that he doesn't have the side controlled because I have the control of him and I have his posted arm. So what does he do? He throws his weight away from that side. Yeah, exactly. So guys, when this happens over here, if I have a lot of energy, I can try to sit up, reset my hips, and try to do everything again. But if I don't, or if my partner is really game with his base, I'm going to go with it instead of against it. So when I'm here, what I'm going to look to do is this. I'm going to look to throw him away from me as much as possible. So I'm going to lift him with that, towards that way with my left hook. My right foot's going to go to the mat. I'm going to throw him away from me, knowing that it's not going to sweep him. So I'm going to throw him away. He's going to end up posting. Exactly. When he posts over there, a lot of times he's going to continue posting up over here. I'm going to get the opportunity to escape my knee to the mat. And here we are again. His head's low, and I need to just now continue with that same idea of the last move. I'm inside his hip line, just like we were on the clinch takedown. All I need to do is pull across. One more time to complete the position. So this is actually a throw that they use a lot in wrestling, in the reverse headlock. And it's something that I started doing after working with some of the high-level wrestlers at Marcel's, and it's been working great, specifically for the situation where my partner doesn't give me the weight. So one more time, I'm here, I lift, boom, I adjust, I go for the position, and my partner is bringing his weight towards that way. Exactly. So from this situation, I'm keeping the reverse headlock tight, and I'm going to look to wrestle up. So whenever I look to come up from the position, my idea is I need to throw my partner's weight off me, which is great because he's already doing it for me in a sense. So now I'm going to continue to help him towards that way. I lift with the hook, ball of hook comes to the net, and I escape. I'm inside his center over here, my knees wrestled up, and now all I'm going to do is work that same pull from the body lock takedown, just lead with his head. And that's what's going to give me the position 10 on the top. I sag that left hip so he doesn't roll me through, and I'm going to keep the side mount. So let's just do one quick. I arrived right there on top.